Update. We, husband 32 male and me 26 female, have been told by his brother 37 male and sister-in-law 30s female that we should supply all Christmas gifts for the kids due to our lack of kids. Original post. My husband has a very large family. In total, I think his father has 8 brothers/sisters. They all got married and had 2 to 6 children each. Now all their children are grown up and starting families as well. We are looking at easily, I believe, 15 children and the family is off right now. We all get together for Christmas every year at his grandparents' house. Sounds great, right? Right. Normally after Thanksgiving or on Thanksgiving, which they also all get together for, we pick names for the children's gift swap. There is also a man and women gift swap which my husband and I, who do not have children, join in on. Now, to give you an idea of how the gifting has been the last 10 years, husband and I would buy gifts for his parents, his brother and wife and their 4 kids. Great. Awesome. Works fine. Last year they said they would rather we just bought gifts for the kids. So we did. Same thing we'd always gotten them books at their reading level, PJs and puzzles of some kind. They were upset, but we couldn't place why. We also didn't get any gifts at all, which we didn't comment on. But my husband admitted he was a bit hurt to get nothing from his parents versus his brother and sister-in-law getting gifts. I am not a super social person, so I spent most of Thanksgiving reading a book and watching one of the youngest cousins sleep. Eventually, we all gathered up so the kids could draw names of their cousins for the gift swap. They finished that up, and then husband's brother, who we'll just call Timmy, says, "And uncle, my husband, will buy all the kids a gift too." Cue my husband and I giving him looks of "the heck and screw you." We laughed and said, "Oh no, haha, we'll just be bringing the candy again this year." His brother then started in that we should buy all of the children gifts since we have none, and that it wasn't very Christian of us not bless the children with our good fortune. My husband at this point pulled him aside into the kitchen and told him he wasn't buying all of the cousins' gifts, and if he wanted to, he was welcome too. They started to argue and Timmy yelled that we should not come for Christmas anymore. I handed over the baby. We left, said we'd email them about it later when they calmed down enough to talk like adults. I would just like someone else's viewpoint. My husband is really upset, and his parents are agreeing with Timmy that we should be giving more gifts, since we have no one to buy them but for kids now. He threw the fact that we get no gifts from anyone at them, and they said we were adults now, and Christmas is for kids. He pointed out they gifted Tim and his wife things still, but they said that we'd already bought it, might as well. But I have been shopping with his mother, and she bought gifts for Tim and his wife candy again this year already. I'm frustrated, and feel like no one is handling any of this well. I don't want to step in and help my husband, but I want someone else to look at this mess before I do anything other than listen and offer suggestions of using "I feel blank when you blank" to his parents. Edit. Replied to some comments, showed husband thread, send email. Haven't been answering phone calls from them. Ask them to please just read and reply via email so that we have time to think and respond calmly. Got a lot of nasty voicemails for it. Going to let them simmer some more and keep ignoring their calls since they keep yelling. Now for the top advice before reading the first update. Holy crap, what a bunch of selfish and manipulative people. That's the most ridiculous suggestion I've ever heard. Now, I don't know if you're child-free, not at that stage in your life yet, or have been trying but haven't conceived, but it doesn't freaking matter. Just because you don't have kids doesn't mean you have to buy presents for everyone else's kids. That's insane. I don't even know how anyone would justify that, honestly. If it comes up again, ask them to explain why they think that's an appropriate thing to ask, and state that while you are glad to have all your nieces and nephews, you don't think it's reasonable for you to be expected to buy them all gifts. Ask if they are going to get you a present from every one of your nieces/nephews. If they bring up that you're not being very Christian BS, remind them that true Christianity is not about material goods. It's about love, not cheap crap from Walmart. His brother and sister-in-law are butthurt that Opie and Hubs have disposable income and probably have nicer things and less stressful life. Taking care of 6 people at a max only for 2 working is still hard unless they make real good money. They sell kazoos in bulk in Amazon for under $6. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Don't forget to encourage the kids to play them as often as possible to develop their musical skills. After all, music helps kid with math or whatever. So, you're supposed to buy gifts for 15 kids since you don't have any? And you get kicked out of Christmas if you don't. Sounds like it's time to start a new tradition that doesn't involve insane relatives. Maybe a cruise. Cruises are nice. This is the craziest part to me. Just no semblance of logic. I have 2 kids, so I buy presents for my 2 kids. You have no kids? You have to buy presents for 15 kids. How the heck do you arrive at that conclusion? Now for the first update. Thanks for everyone who came and tossed in their 2 cents. It was wonderful to hear from other people without having to worry if they would repeat my chatter to the other party involved. So, I'm not 100% sure where I should start. I am about 3 drinks in just to calm myself. For one, I did show my husband a post after we talked. I brought up T-Day 2015. I'd asked him if he wanted some more input that I normally give on his family drama. He said yes. I pointed out the favoritism of his brother over him in almost anything. I made a list showing times when it had happened where they and he were fully in the wrong just to prove the point. We went over the texts from his brother, sister-in-law, mother, father, aunt, and cousin. Just to recap names. Brother Timmy, sister-in-law Candy, mother Rhonda, father Keith, aunt Kira, cousin Ben, husband Todd. This is shorter than husband. I'm lazy. So the day I posted after we went over the text, which started after we missed their call, and went up until we sent the email, all just spiteful garbage about how we waste our money, time and life volunteering and don't spend enough time with our children, /cousins, /cousins' children, /family anymore. It started out telling Todd he was being a candy butt B-word who was whipped by his cold, harpy child-hating wife, and just degraded from there. Todd only sent back a few saying he'd email him about it and asking him to not talk about me. So we sent the email. Here is basically what we sent. I semi-edited it. Todd sends it as if it was just from him. We almost added in his parents, but decided we'd just forward it to them if it really got out of hand. No problem. Timmy did it for him. Tim, I'm sending you an email so we can talk about what happened on Thanksgiving. I think this would be better for us both since when we are heated we say things rashly. You didn't give me much time to really think about it, so here it goes. I don't understand why you volunteered us to buy gifts. We are happy to buy gifts for your children as we have every year. Is there something going on? Is someone having financial problems? Well, we would gladly help anyone who asks. As we have before, you should recall Kathy and Kiki 2 years ago. We helped too. Being set up in front of young children was rude. Not to mention you telling us we aren't allowed at Christmas now. The texts and angry voicemails were also uncalled for. Please take some time and get back to me. I hope we can work this out as our family is very important to us. Todd. Yes, well, that went over about as well as water on a grease fire. For one, Timmy forwarded the email to Rhonda and Keith, Kira and Ben. That was rude, but we were going to do the same way either way. Ben sent us an email letting us know what Timmy did and said he was sorry he wasn't there to jump in, but would try and talk to Timmy. Timmy and Ben are actually really close, so it was nice to see he thought Timmy was being unreasonable as well, since they are normally very close / like-minded. I'm not going to put his email here. I'm just going to highlight what is said then tell you what Keith and Rhonda said in their email / visit. I'm a cold, child-hating harpy and I sleep around. I'm an atheist, or a Muslim, or something he never really picked. I am dragging Todd from the church and his family. We don't spend any time at all with the family anymore. We never spend any time with our nibblings. We are wasting our life / time / money volunteering with animals. Helping / wanting to help refugees was un-American, and this is my fault since I'm a first-generation American and don't understand what it means to be one / deserve to live here. I'm rude and never talk to them unless it's about animal rescue / animal rights. Yeah, so, At this point, we're kinda laughing and kinda crying and kinda shocked. We spent the rest of the day cleaning up our house and talking about what we wanted to do / reply back. We hadn't checked our email and would stuck our phones on vibrate and were just trying to enjoy our day off together. They're pretty rare, sadly. So surprise, his parents drove all the way out to talk to us. I say talk, but it was more like being talked at. They asked me to leave so they could talk to Todd about his actions / rude email. Todd said no, said I was his family and his wife and we were handling this together. They then tried to convince us we had said the F word in front of the family. We didn't. That we had mentioned buying gifts for everyone before. That we didn't love Jesus anymore since we hadn't been going to church. And some of what Timmy has sent in the email too. When his father started to insult me and then in turn my father, Todd was done. He stood up and said, "Thank you for coming to visit us in our home for the first time, but we have errands to run and you need to leave now." They refused. He told them they had to go now or he'd have to call the police. They left. He cried, I cried, our cats knocked over their cups. We ended up calling my dad and told him everything, as well as showing him both emails. He told us they have before talked trash about me/us to him. "We should be able to fix your child still, we're still working in ours," was something he told us had been said. We decided we aren't going to their Christmas either way. I told Todd I can't go back there again, nor can I look at any of them the same again. I knew they'd always not like me as much as some of the other daughter-in-laws, but I didn't know it was to that extent. They have always been nice and polite to my face, invited and included me in all events. No one had ever said anything to Todd either. As it stands, I'm waiting for my dad and brother to get into town, and then we're going to sit down and decide what we would like to do. Todd said he just wants it to be small, and doesn't mind where Christmas happens and said he felt closer to my dad and brother anyway. We told Ben what happened and shipped his gift to him. I haven't decided yet what I will do with the Nibblings gifts, but I already donated all of the adult gifts. Edit. I'd also like to add I'm not of another ethnicity. My father is German and moved to the US when he was 20 to marry my mother. So I'm a pasty white chick, but I guess since my dad isn't American, that's bad. Now for more comments before the final update. This is really awful. But what stood out to me was how united the two of you are in this. It sucks for Todd that he now has a full realization of how terrible his family is. That's hard for him, and I know he's going to be dealing with a lot of emotions from this. But the two of you took this hit together, and that's awesome. So a bit of silver lining maybe? We weren't always this way. When we went through my family drama with my mother, sisters, and her family and some of my dad's, it was hell. We were not united. He was semi-friends with my mother and she sob-storied him into believing a lot of lies I had come to question about my childhood. So we then fought like cats and dogs until finally he listened, and I spoke what I was thinking and feeling. It could have ended then. I would have my dad and brother and nothing else, but we worked it out. We communicated, forgave each other, made a game plan for handling my mother's manipulative BS, and went to war. In the end, I would do anything for Todd. I'd even put up with going and being around his family again next year once the wounds healed a bit. I know it will be a lot harder for him to give up on them than it would be for me too. I suggested we both revisit the therapist I was seeing before when we dealt with my family. I think it will help him identify some other issues. Thanks for reading and a chain of comments/compliments. We both appreciate it. Our cats knocked over their cups. Your cats are pretty badass. Seriously though, I'm sorry. But it sounds like you and your husband have been handling this like a united front, and that's awesome. He demanded love. The other cat cleaned up the water. It worked out. 10 over 10 would adopt 4 cats again. I'm proud of your husband for standing up for you. Go him. His family sucks. They really are terrible, greedy people. You were better off without them. It always sucks when a partner is wrapped into the manipulation of their family. Nice to see them sticking together for a change. This is kind of like our second rodeo, only we didn't see it coming at all. Now for the final update. I wish this update was we all made up and Christmas will be so great, but it's not. Yesterday we had a small Christmas party with some friends, since we will be leaving the 24th for a holiday. Myself, Todd, Dad, and brother who I'll name Theo. My friend Sandy grew up near me. We've been friends for years and she became friends with Timmy and his wife too. They're friends together on Facebook. We had told her that there was a tiff but didn't elaborate to not damage their friendship. Big mistake. Since she tagged us in her "ooh, look at my gift" /QQ my friend is leaving for my Christmas post. The photos of the two of us drinking while dancing around her new Roomba. I will note this isn't just for her Christmas. It's for her Christmas, birthday, and her wedding, as well as a housewarming gift. Her and her soon-to-be husband Bill just bought a new townhouse near us. I normally wouldn't buy something that expensive just for Christmas. So, Timmy saw the post. Not only did it take offense to us drinking, none of them drink / are against drinking. He really flipped his lid about her getting a Roomba. He lost his crap in the comments and then showed up at our apartment. I was in the shower when Timmy showed up. I heard someone knocking on the door, which had to be pretty loud to hear it all the way into the master's bedroom shower. I finished the shower around midway through Todd and Tim fighting. Todd said he was beating the door down. He opened the door and refused to let Tim in any further than the hallway. Tim was yelling at him about the gift, about his lack of church going, about his going out of town, demanding his kids' gifts. I donated them, and asking where we got off buying such a pricey gift for someone who isn't related, and being selfish a-holes about gifting the other children. So around this point, I come out of the shower after putting on PJs. It's nearly 1 a.m. now. I came out to see Timmy. I'm kinda shocked. Todd tells Tim it's late and we can't talk about this when we get back from holiday with the pastor. He pushes Todd. Todd falls back into the wall, putting a dent into it. This woke my dad and Theo. I moved in front of Todd since Tim was pulling back to hit him. He hit me, knocking me down on top of Todd. Dad and Theo restrained him. Our next door neighbor was woken up and called 911. Cops showed up, separated all of us. We told them what had happened, didn't tell them about the other problems. Shortened it up so there had been a Christmas disagreement. They also called an ambulance since Todd cut his arm on a dish that broke, and my face was quickly turning purple. The EMS showed up, no Todd, and was very upset about him and I being hurt. The cops asked us if we wanted to press charges. I started to say no, but Todd said yes. So Tim was arrested, and we went to the ER since Todd needed some stitches. Our phones have been blowing up ever since. I turned mine off after I told Sandy she needed to not let Tim and Candy see any posts about us, since they're pissed at us. She said okay. I went through and unfriended/grouped anyone who was also friends with any in-law/family into a restricted group so they can't see anything we're up to again. I hope. Rhonda and Keith have been blowing up Todd's phone. He's only answered them in text with what happened, that we would not drop charges or pay his bail, and to stop contacting us at all. Between the last update and this one, we had talked to some of the other family members and they all said they disagreed with Timmy. His grandparents said they did too, but that they couldn't host the Christmas and couldn't stop him from uninviting us. They said they would talk to him and we were like, okay, cool. Maybe by next year we can be friends again. That isn't the case anymore. At all. There is no coming back from this. We'll be filing a restraining order when we get home. Todd is talking about us moving out of our home state. Dad and Theo think this is a good idea. Dad is annoyed that I wouldn't let him hit Tim, so is sulking a bit. But I think it's more that he's upset that we have lost another family basically. So yeah. I get to enjoy my trip with a black eye/cheek. Todd has a 4-inch gash on his arm. Dad is sulking and Theo is happy since he's smoking pot. So A+ Christmas.
Am I the a-hole for ruining a funeral and potentially costing a lot of family members their jobs? Original post. My grandparents passed away recently. I followed the guidelines my grandma set up for her final event. Her church, her burial plot, her casket, and the same for my grandpa. I just didn't expect for it to be a joint funeral. I sent out the notifications to friends of theirs and family after the date was set in stone. Their friends all came, so did most of my grandma's church. But no family showed up. I wasn't surprised. I hadn't seen most of them in about 4 years. I had a great time with my grandparents' friends, and then I went back home and cried my heart out. I had been their sole caregiver, and I didn't know what to do without them. I had taken care of them for 15 years. It started with little things like lifting heavy things and escalated to needing to change the bed twice a night sometimes. I was empty and started to scroll through my grandpa's Facebook to see pictures he posted before his memory went. I found a group, started about 3 years ago, that was being flooded with activity. When I went poking around, I found out it was my mother, who was hosting a funeral at her church and was trying to get final expenses taken care of. I was stunned. Here was the woman I hadn't spoken to since throwing her out of the house for stealing jewelry and upsetting Grandma terribly by using her Alzheimer's against her. How could you forget my birthday? You promised to give me this. I went to the funeral my mother had planned and listened to the pastor, and then my mother got up to talk. She told everyone how hard it was taking care of them, and something inside me roared to life. I don't remember everything I said, but it did include that she didn't pay for anything for them. Not their caskets, not their burial plots, not their cremation. Nothing. I told everyone I put them to rest at the funeral Grandma planned herself 4 days prior. I said she never paid for any of their care or even seen them for 4 years. I was asked to leave and drove home. Later, a cousin asked me if what I said was true, and when I said it was, and I could provide proof, they explained my mother had been taking funds from the family for years to pay for their care at a facility because they had outlived their insurance policy. They also explained I got a lot of people in trouble because somewhere in my speech I had shouted I had done it all alone for years without any help. A lot of family members used my grandparents as an excuse to get out of work and had invited their co-workers to the funeral. By hearing my outburst, they were now in trouble for lying as for the reasons to leave work or miss days. She then went on to ask me about the inheritance and when would that be passed out. I told her that if anyone had earned the inheritance, it had already been taken care of. I thought I was in the right, but now I'm doubting myself after so many cousins and family members are calling me to tell me I handled it really poorly. Am I the a-hole? Did I handle this badly? Everyone's telling me I did. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Not a-hole. I'm honestly not entirely sure how you could have handled that better without being ignored. Your family members created these situations for themselves and now must deal with the consequences. I mean, most of it, not all of them came to their actual funerals. You handled everything, both for their care over the last 15 years and in their passing. And that's probably been very hard for you, especially if you don't have any support yourself. I hope you do. Be kinder to yourself. You're grieving and will need some time to heal. None of the family members came to the funeral. Some of them I've excused in my head because of my mom's actions. She sent out messages to everyone that the location had changed due to issues with the size of the location. Grandma had picked out the location for her funeral, the same place she used to teach sewing lessons and run childcare teaching events. She loved that location. It was attached to her church. She didn't care what your question was. She'd answer it and help you solve it. Didn't know how to fix the seam of your jeans? She could help. Didn't know how to stop your baby from crying all night? She'd know. She ran a lot of services for her community that still stands strong today, one of which is the Early Days program at her church. Members sign up to visit new parents, do laundry, vacuum, dust, do dishes, cook a meal, watch the baby if the parents need to sleep. I'm so proud of her for the impact on our community she left. Your grandma was an incredible person. Condolences on your loss of both grandparents. Not a-hole. You told the truth. The truth exposed your mother's hypocrisy and how she was scamming the family for money. It also exposed the scams of those who were pretending to care. The term for this is poetic justice, and it was overdue. I'm still trying to figure out why they would lie about coming to help and not even bother to pick up the phone to call and check in with them. It makes no sense why they would use that as an excuse to me. What did they have to gain? A free day? They have dozens of other people they could have used, but they fixated on using my grandparents. Because using them made them look good. Oh, I need a day to take my elderly grandparents who have Alzheimer's to the doctors. Makes them look selfless and caring, and most employers would be more willing to overlook those days. Don't for a minute feel bad for those who got in trouble. They all dug their own holes. If they lost their jobs, that's on them for lying, not you for exposing their lies. Stop worrying about the people who didn't care and remember your grandparents and the good they did and the time you had with them. I'm sure they appreciated all that you did for them. Now for the update. Thank you all. I felt I was the a-hole because of how badly I reacted at the memorial service my mother held. It was very far out of character for me. I am usually very quiet and I don't talk too much often, much like my grandpa. I screamed at them. I cried, I waved my arms and made an absolute spectacle of my grief. I feel so embarrassed by how I argued and carried on. Several family members are asking questions and seem genuinely bewildered by the circumstances. This happened on Sunday and it's Friday now. I am still feeling as lost as I did at first. One of my uncles did lose his job. That was confirmed earlier. He had multiple schemes going on at his workplace, with a need for a medical lift bed for grandma, and got his coworkers to donate around $8,000 in total. The gossip queens that attended the funeral told everyone Monday morning, and by Monday afternoon he was in trouble with HR. This wasn't the only way he tried to earn funds. There are at least 2 others I know about from his son. His son, my cousin, is furious with his dad and my mom. He and several other cousins of mine are suing my mother for taking funds from them. They thought they were helping pay for 24-hour care at an assisted living facility. Every month, my mother was collecting between $2,000 and $9,000 from family members. She would lament to them how hard and soul-crushing it was to see such strong people just staring vacantly off into space, how they were unresponsive. But this wasn't true. My cousins apologized for not reaching out to me, but I'm not very close with anyone in my family. Some of you guessed it in the DMs, but yeah, I was an affair baby. I came out wrong, and my mother's husband divorced her over it. The people I was closest to growing up were my grandparents. It's bad enough that some of the cousins forgot I was a family member at all. It's a huge mess. They're apologizing, but I just don't want anything to do with them. Grandpa's business is not worth millions, but it pays the bills. It's a handyman company. My family is asking about the company, how everything is going there, and I'm putting up a stony face. It's not the family business. It's mine. Has been for years. All of the employees respect me because I treat them the same way my grandpa did. I do still mess up some things that they tease me for. It's a very friendly place to work. One of my grandpa's properties is just a fenced yard with covered storage for the different projects. It's right next to the business property, and it's just where we work on remodeling old RVs or turning vans into RVs. We have a few friends parked there too, but it's just a dirt lot with gravel, a fence, and a cover. There are some security cameras there, and so far no issues. I thought I would give an overall update and just thank you all for the support. I felt so lost, and I really did think I was the a-hole for exposing them. Jobs are important and hard to come by out here, and it's not just going to affect them. It's going to affect their partners, their children, and even their pets. I feel most guilty about who else exposing them affected. Thank you. I didn't really expect this to blow up like it did. I'm going to keep reading and responding to comments. Thank you all again. This has been so incredible. I was never supposed to be angry about anything, but seeing all the comments cussing out my family has been more cathartic than I can express. Thank you. I don't think nosy and gossip queens are fair judgments when what they did is alert coworkers that they were all scammed out of a collective $8,000. More than 8K, since OP said that wasn't the only fundraising the uncle did at work. God knows how much she got away with in the end. I think someone will go to jail for that amount of fraud. I would love an update for the legal fallout. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling extended family that my brother was an abusive piece of crap and taking his ex-wife's side in the divorce? My brother was married to Katrina for 8 years. He has a 10-year-old daughter from a one-night stand. Bio mom is not in the picture. Katrina's the only mom my niece, Elise, has ever known. She became a stay-at-home mom when Elise was 2, and they've been inseparable since. She wanted to adopt Elise, and Elise's bio mom wanted the adoption to happen, but her dad refused. When Elise was around 4, my brother started using her to control Katrina. If they'd argue or she wouldn't do what he wanted, he'd either hurt Elise or leave with her for weeks or months at a time, telling her she was never going to see Katrina again. Katrina wasn't able to do anything about it because she didn't have any rights to Elise. Katrina finally filed for divorce last year, and my brother took Elise again. After a few months, CPS got involved, and Elise was removed from his custody. Elise is temporarily staying with me while Katrina fights for custody. She refuses to talk about what happens when her dad takes her, but she's terrified of men, including my husband, wakes up screaming, and she even had to spend some time in an inpatient facility. She's doing intensive outpatient treatment now and is slowly improving. Katrina and I have been in contact, and I've been letting her visit Elise. These visits are usually 4-ish hours at a time, maybe 4 days a week. She makes food for Elise, they lay on a couch and watch her favorite movies. She gets Elise to do some schoolwork. She kind of goes back to being Elise's mom during these visits. Extended family has been asking why Elise is staying with me and not her dad. My brother said it's because he travels a lot for work, but I wasn't going to lie to protect him, so I told the truth. That he is an abusive piece of shit that hurt his daughter to control his wife. Then word spread that Katrina gets to visit as much as she and Elise can handle, while he isn't allowed to see his kid. Now, immediate family, parents, grandparents, brother, are mad at me for airing his dirty laundry, spreading rumors, and taking his sexist side in all of this. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not at all. You're definitely not the a-hole. You did the right thing by protecting Elise and standing up for Katrina. Your brother's actions were abusive, and someone had to speak up. It's great that you're providing a safe space for Elise and allowing her to reconnect with Katrina. Family might be mad, but Elise's safety and well-being come first. Not the a-hole at all, not even a tiny little bit. The best interest of the child always comes first. People should know so the good ones can protect her, and it will also become clear who can't be trusted. It's telling that many family members care more about family reputation than protecting a child. Those people are absolute trash in my opinion. I'm sorry to say OP because I know they're your family. You're a hero for taking care of and standing up for the child. So is her bonus mom. I call her that because she earned the title. That woman is incredible. Someone who uses her goodness against her like that doesn't deserve anything good in life at all. I like how they said sided with X and not sided with her abused grandchild. Are mad at me for airing his dirty laundry, spreading rumors. If brother didn't want his dirty laundry aired, he shouldn't have created it. CPS removed his child from his custody. He should be ashamed of what he's done. I hope there are legal consequences for him. It's not a rumor when it's true. You're never the a-hole for refusing to lie on someone else's behalf. You're never the a-hole for refusing to protect a piece of garbage. I'm so glad Elise has you in her life. There is a special place in heaven for people who save abused children. And a special place in hell for her brother. Last story. Am I the a-hole for blocking my parents after they pressured me to give up custody of my niece? I, 25 male, have been raising my niece since she was a year old. Her parents, my sister and her boyfriend, went to jail for drug abuse, and I stepped in to take care of her. Over the years, I've grown incredibly close to her. I even adopted her 3 years ago, and she sees me as her dad. Recently, my sister was released from prison and expressed a desire to regain custody of my niece. My parents are supporting her, arguing that my niece belongs with her biological mother. They acknowledge the mistakes my sister made, but believes she deserves a second chance to be a mother. However, I have serious concerns about my sister's ability to provide a stable environment for my niece. She has only been out of prison for a short time, and while she claims to be clean and ready to be a parent again, I'm worried about the potential for relapse and the impact on my niece. My parents have been relentless in their pressure, constantly calling, texting, and showing up at my place to argue this point. They accuse me of being selfish and holding on to my niece out of spite. The stress and conflict became unbearable, and I felt like they were not considering my niece's best interests, just my sister's wishes. In response, I decided to block my parents' numbers and social media accounts to create some space and peace for myself and my niece. Since then, they've been reaching out through mutual friends, accusing me of cutting them off and keeping my niece from her family. They're making me feel guilty for wanting to maintain a stable, loving environment my niece has known for the past 6 years. Am I the a-hole for blocking my parents and refusing to give up custody of my niece? Not the a-hole. If you access daycare/childcare, meet with the top leader and submit in writing that your daughter is not to be picked up by anyone but you. Her grandparents or her mother may attempt to do so. After it is submitted, I chat one-on-one with staff to ensure they have been updated. I admire your tenacity to do the right thing for your niece/daughter. You're writing suggestion you have legal custody, and I hope this status is true. Be sure to not hesitate calling the police, securing a protection order or other strategies should this situation escalate. You read your sister's situation correctly. She's likely on probation or parole. She may be clean, but she now will need to rebuild her life, secure housing, employment, transportation. Life stresses could be the reason she uses. This needs to be her rebuilding her lifetime. Continue to create and protect peace in your home. Best to you. Not the a-hole, but get an attorney. You and your niece need it. If OP has custody and can take extra steps to limit who has access to the child, what is the benefit of an attorney? Retaining fees are quite steep. I'm asking to learn. Having dealt with crazy family members demanding access to my own kids and using other family members to access them and deliver messages to them, the best thing it does is signal to the crazies that you are serious. They think they can keep pushing because you're a family and can't ever tell them no because it's the family code. If you keep saying no, they just tell themselves they're the hero saving the kids from the mean person telling them no. It's amazing how suddenly they stop the BS when an attorney threatens them with legal action. An outside authority told them to cut it out or else. It's very effective and was worth the money to keep the crazies on their best behavior. I second this and contact schools to reiterate who is and is not on the access list. Crazy family has often weaponized police, child services, filed false abuse reports, all to paint the custodial guardian in an abusive light. Cover your assets/Start recording calls messages and texts into online vaults. 3. If you're ultra paranoid. Also printed copies, transcripts of voice messages. Document. If at a moment's notice you need to file a no-contact order / anti-harassment, you will need printed copies to file with a judge later in court. You can also work with Child Protective Services to oversee your sister earning back partial custody. If you choose to communicate with a pushy family, do it through email only. It creates a valid paper trail, and you can carbon copy, CC, anyone who needs in on the conversation. If they really want to get nasty, take your sister to court for child support and back pay support. This always is a viable threat when they get super pushy. Your fears are very valid.